Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Altmed podcast. Your host here, Andrew Dowling. With me, as always, my trusty co-host, Mitch Kurtz.
Very trusty.
Yeah, very trusty. Certainly no hands near the steering wheel for today. Assuming his seat in the passenger. But no, along for the ride with us today, we have a special guest. We have, well, there's many ways we could introduce her, but I think at a broad level, we'll say medical cannabis scientist educator. It is none other than Sharlene Mavor. Sharlene, welcome to the show.
Hi, lovely to be here.
Great to have you with us. I think actually when we've been talking about having you on and some of the discussions we've had, I'm thinking, I don't know if we've necessarily had a guest on that can talk to so many aspects of how cannabis or hemp might be able to be used. And obviously our podcast has a little bit of a bent towards the medical application of cannabis. If, you know, people can probably tell that from the name of the podcast, which has med in it. But yeah, basically we can just expand that so much, I think, throughout this discussion in you know, talking to you about various applications. But before we dive into the many exciting things that you're involved with and the many hats that you have, I'm just interested to know how your interest in cannabis was sparked and how you sort of got into this field.
Absolutely. So I guess it started back in 2016. Happened to be married to a pharmacist, and we've always been, I guess, really broad-minded and innovative in what we look at and what we like to do with our lives. And he came across a meme that stated that cannabis was, hadn't killed anybody and is less deadly than peanuts or something along those lines. And we said to him, really? That's kind of strange. And he said, there's actually a lot of medical benefits in cannabis, which we'd never heard of before. And I said to him, that's actually super interesting. How do you think we can find out a bit more about this? And we were just in a time in our lives, we'd sold a business and we thought, well, what can we get into now? And I tell you what, 5 minutes of Googling showed us that there was cannabis science conferences out there in the US, and there was a whole field of medicine, not in Australia yet, but out there in the US and Canada. And I guess it just really piqued our interests. And I said to him, well, I think we need to go over to the US and Canada and go to some of these conferences and talk to some researchers and find out about it. So that's kind of what we did. And it was around the same time that Lucy Haslam was legalising and getting around the legalisation of cannabis for medical use in Australia. We didn't even know about that. That was kind of happening to one side, and we were like, let's go and learn about cannabis as a medicine ourselves. So we kind of came back in late 2016 with this head full of cannabis medicine, and we really wanted to be part of the movement to bring cannabis to Australia as a medicine and just get in there and start educating. And obviously we did find out that cannabis was legalised late 2016, and that's kind of how it came about. And we thought that we would start a charity and we would get together some educators and doctors around Australia that had been already researching, and we thought we need to educate doctors, obviously, because they're going to be the prescribers, and nurses, of course, and, you know, even more importantly, patients, because obviously there's a lot of patients out there that did understand and were already using medicinal cannabis, but we wanted to get out to those that didn't know. So we started running seminars around Australia and going state to state, city to city, and getting doctors and all of the early prescribers together. And that's kind of how we started our education. And we did record them, of course, so they're all available on YouTube for anyone to just jump on and watch. And so that's how it all started. I'm a medical scientist, so really interested in research, and I just absorbed so much knowledge around how it works in the body and the endocannabinoid system, receptors, etc. I had a very good background in immunology, so I guess that's probably my special interest as well. It was part of what I studied at uni. I really always wanted to get into research myself too, so that has now eventuated. So I guess that's my story.
No, that's amazing.
It's so much more than that, but
Yeah.
that's kind of my stuff.
And especially like the combination of, your husband, the pharmacist, and your knowledge in having studied microbiology and virology. I think it's wonderful that, that we had people in the early days really getting the industry the sort of attention and that it deserved. And I imagine between the two of you, you've both got a very good understanding of how cannabis can be used as a medicine and what it actually does in interacting with the body. So maybe I'm just interested, since you mentioned it, the immunology background that you have. What are some of the insights that you've kind of gleaned over the years of being involved in the field in that immunology context with medical cannabis?
Yeah, I guess I'm a big believer in the endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. So the fact that we are deficient in cannabinoids and even the receptors in the body, and that plays a really big part in how our immune system works. So I just found that fascinating, and we already know that so many patients have got some amazing benefits from especially CBD, but other cannabinoids as well, in just helping address some immune issues and even reverse a lot of immune diseases. I think, it's incredibly fascinating, and we haven't even scratched the surface of the science and the research that is really needed to understand this fully, but we know it's working. I guess that for me is just amazing. And of course, cannabinoids have many more effects in so many other syndromes and illnesses in the body, including, pain is obviously a huge component and a huge reason why people are using cannabis. Yeah.
Have you, and so in terms of then, I guess, anti-inflammatory, so, for very much people with little to no medical understanding whatsoever, basically when somebody, for example, has, say, arthritis, their body it's an autoimmune disease that is causing inflammation at obviously like a cellular level. What does cannabis do? I mean, it's easy sort of to say it anti-inflammatory, but how effective is it as compared with other types of anti-inflammatory medicines, say?
Yeah, well, we are getting amazing results, and it's proving itself to be very effective, especially in cases where other anti-inflammatories or pain medications aren't working. I guess, the body has its own receptors for cannabinoids and its own receptors for other drugs. So I guess it's in these cases, obviously, if people are getting good results from their own medication and they're not even seeking out cannabinoids. But now, don't ask me to explain it on a cellular level because I'm not a biologist.
No, that's but as you say, it's and this is kind of the way the system was initially set up. And I know approvals took a long time in those early days, but really was for people, if you're treatment resistant with whatever condition you have that you're trying to treat, the point is that here is an alternative medicine that's relatively very safe. I mean, harm profile is virtually non-existent, and you can actually try that. But I want to actually, so I just have a question about the charitable work as well. So I've actually, I think I saw a photo of you with the likes of Olivia Newton-John and others. So I don't know how active your role is at the moment in all of that, but but yeah, what has that been like to actually, work with people of, that kind of status and in influencing a conversation about medical cannabis? Is this, kind of a space that that you're still involved in, or what's the current status of all that?
I, I've met a lot of people in my travels because, the first medical conference I went to around cannabinoids led to many, many more. So we've had an opportunity to go to Israel, even Colombia, Canada, a number of times, as well as quite a few different conferences in the US. So we did come across some celebrity influencers who, are used for their own benefit and getting great results. And it's fantastic that they're willing to get out there and talk about it and how it's made a huge difference in their recovery. And for instance, Olivia Newton-John, as you probably know, has had great results using cannabinoids to address her cancer symptoms. And in some ways, it seems to even kill cancer cells for her. She seems to have really recovered so well. And as far as I know, she's in remission. And
That's amazing.
I'm right in saying that she's been through 4 bouts of cancer. So,
Wow.
she's incredibly well. So, obviously meeting those people is amazing. I've had an opportunity to have a nice long chat to Tommy Chong even. And celebrities like Fran Drescher has her own cancer foundation, and she's a really huge believer in using cannabinoids for cancer, symptom relief. So it's been great. But I guess you meet them, but it's wonderful having the same passion to let people know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you're starstruck, but you're also like, wow, we're kind of we're here for the same reasons. So it's really great. In terms of the charity work, we've spent many years doing education, and we were doing a lot of webinars too once COVID hit, like as you do, and really important. I guess the people that I was working with have kind of evolved and are doing other things, so it kind of ended up just being me, and it was kind of hard for me to do on my own. So I kind of started, about a year ago, delved into doing my own research. I've already been involved in a research project for about 4 years, working with some clinical psychologists here in Perth, and we're looking at addressing addiction with a CBD formulation, and that's specifically methamphetamine. So that's really exciting. So world first. But I'm also working on my own project that I have written up the protocol for, and that's an observational study looking at musculoskeletal pain and using a particular cannabis formulation. So I've spent about a year working on that, and we're just about to start recruiting for that. And what we're going to be doing, following about 100 patients on this formulation and getting them to fill out questionnaires to tell us how they're feeling in terms of their quality of life and their pain and their sleep and their anxiety and their depression. So that's going to be really exciting to see, what kind of results we're going to get. Obviously, we believe it'll be positive because that's what we've been told from people who are taking it individually. But to get 100 people together and to kind of tabulate that data is going to be really great. And you can never have too much research done. You can't have too much data, because this is what the doctors are wanting to know. They're wanting to have this proof. So but doing that is really, really important for me. It's kind of been a bit of a dream of mine to do that.
Mm-hmm. You haven't had much downtime, if I might say, Sharlene. Just one project to the next. No.
But, a bit of downtime in there when COVID hit, and I was a bit like, I have to tell you, I was really quite depressed because I couldn't travel, and we were doing so much action, and I love going around city to city, getting up there and talking about and just getting together I call them the Australian cannabis family together, the researchers and the doctors and nurses who get up there and speak about it, and not being able to get them together and see them and kind of share this passion, it kind of hit me hard. And Paul, my husband Paul, said to me, you just need to reinvent yourself and start doing webinars. And I was kind of like, well, how do I get my head around that? So eventually we did, and it was great. But I guess, like everyone and everything, you evolve over time and find new passions and go in new directions.
Yeah, I'm just curious, how difficult was that education? Speaking about webinars and the like, how difficult was that education piece for doctors in the early days, right at the start, before doctors really even knew it was available? I mean, arguably doctors still don't know it's fully available, but there are enough doctors now coming through that it's not completely impossible to find. How was that education piece, say, right at the start for you? What were some of the challenges you faced?
Getting the word out there was really hard, just to let them know to come. I just used social media as much as I possibly could. I was messaging doctors' pages, even doctor surgery. I was emailing. I was just trying to get as many people to know about as I could. But you've probably heard this too, but so many patients had been going in and asking their doctor for it, and the doctors were like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about. I haven't heard of it. It's been such a patient-driven medical revolution. I guess, doctors had patients asking, and then I came along and they heard about us doing seminars, and so that was kind of how we got them along. I also reached out to medical schools, and not only that, we've just got a big network of people around Australia who would let others know. But Facebook groups, we said to patients, tell your doctors to come along. Share this with your doctors. If they've shown any interest whatsoever, let them know about it and come along and learn.
Were you at some of the early, I was just going to ask about the United in Compassion. You mentioned Lucy Haslam before, such a wonderful person in the industry and someone we've had on this podcast. But did you sort of find as well that was that one event where you could see everyone that was kind of beginning to create this industry and really, push awareness towards it?
Yeah, for sure. But to be honest, I'd reached out to everybody who I possibly could already for that. So I guess I'd probably spoken to them, emailed them, or something along those lines even before United in Compassion. But it was a great chance to meet even more people who were passionate about it. And, we all come together. We're all drawn to each other anyway, because we kind of, obviously there's still some stigma around cannabis. So we kind of had to seek each other out. Yeah, it wasn't
Absolutely.
It's not been, you're right, not so easy, but better, much better now.
Interesting. And in terms of, are you able to share with us a little bit around the emerging data from some of the studies you've been looking? I'm not sure if it's confidential or not, but is there anything you can share with us from some of the preliminary research you've done?
Well, my research is not really started yet, but I've pretty much examined what everyone else has been doing in the worldwide research. But obviously, we're getting amazing results, so really positive data around pain. Of course, everyone knows epilepsy. That's the real heartstring. One that, definitely. So many conditions. There's a lot going on. Research now with post-traumatic stress disorder.
The addiction one you mentioned before is interesting to me, just because it's certainly, methamphetamine has been a problem in sort of addiction medicine for a long time, and all around Australia, particularly in Victoria, seems to have become quite prevalent in some regional communities. I'm sure other states have that issue as well, but so with that particular trial, is the goal to kind of optimize a dose of CBD that effectively is it designed to remove the, I guess, the come down effect? So when people are really battling addiction at their sort of their worst point, they're looking for their next fix. Like what's the design of that study like?
So our main aim is to look at participants who have had a washout period of a week, and see that first week of washout after you come off the drug, people are mainly just sleeping and going on. It's a week later when the cravings start. That's what we're trying to address. So we're going to start our regime at day 7, and for 3 months, and we're trying to prevent the relapse. But not only are we trying to address that cravings, but we're also going to try to address their anxiety and their depression and any pain they're not feeling and their sleep. And we feel like if we can address those things, that we're going to give them a really huge boost to be able to just get them away, or get their craving level down really, really low, so that they can maintain, their abstinence. And I guess that goal.
So, okay, so second week, because it's totally an area I know nothing about. How long does it take for someone? Do you have any sense of how long it might take somebody to, recover from genuine physical dependency symptoms, full on addiction to a substance like an amphetamine? Is this something that you could see potentially if there's a good response from a patient in that second week when it starts? Is it a medicine regime that would stay with them for quite some time after that?
We hope so.
Yeah.
But I'm the addiction specialist. If we can just get them to stay on the medication, we're already winning.
Yeah.
Because the relapse is so high.
Yeah.
Really, really high. So if we can get them to stay on the medication, stay in the trial for 3 months, we've won.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I think at that stage, after 3 months of not using again, these people are people who want to stay clean. They want to stay off. So I think if we get to that point, they hopefully will stay off. But I don't know. I guess we haven't addressed whether they would need a maintenance dose for many more months or not. We'll just see how we go with getting to the 3-month period with them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's an exciting research topic, and I know you've got yet another project which this is totally left field. I don't actually know anyone else that we've spoken to in the industry or anything that's involved in hemp as a building material. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, because we speak all about cannabis as medicine all the time, but I think we forget there's so many other uses for it. So I'm very keen to hear about the textile/building material.
Exactly, yeah. So I came across hemp as a building material when I was emceeing Hemp Health and Innovation a few years back. So obviously that is a bit of a broader education event, or it's actually an expo. So there was people there in the hemp foods industry, the hemp medications, hemp cosmetics, sort of all things hemp really. And I came across this guy who got up and had talked to everybody about building with hemp. And he happened to come from the same state as me and live 3 hours south of me. And he was talking about it. And I just thought, oh my God, it was a bit of a light bulb moment. And I was thinking, I need to build a house out of hemp. This is just insane. And how could it have so many properties, so many, amazing properties? So I basically went back to Perth, and I went down and southwest of WA, and went to see him and went through some of his houses, and just blown away by how beautiful the hemp looked, but also the qualities that Hempcrete has as a building material. It's basically has got amazing thermal qualities. It keeps heat in. It sequesters carbon, and that this is a big thing right now. Trying to be carbon neutral. You can't burn it. I've seen like blow torches on this material, and it doesn't burn.
Wow.
It's basically antibacterial, antifungal. It doesn't grow mold.
That's incredible. Like the carbon thing
boxes.
alone should be getting all of the governments around Australia talking. I saw as well when I was looking up, the hemp home, that, this is a textile that has, I think am I right in saying it's, won awards at HIA and things like that. So even the building industry associations or housing industry associations are starting to take note as well. I mean, it's incredible.
So I guess not any builder can build with Hempcrete. You really need to know what you're doing. You've got to be careful how it's formulated and how it's made. It's very hands-on. I basically went to see my place today, so I guess going back a bit, decided to build, line together, and got Gary Rogers from Hemp Homes Australia to build, and we're at the stage now where we're half built and it's looking magnificent. So I went along today to have a look, and I was there tamping down the hemp. So it's basically, let me describe what it is. So Hempcrete is made from hemp hurd. So hemp hurd is part of the woody inner structure of the hemp plant. They mainly grow very, very tall hemp cultivars for this purpose. They'll strip away the outside of the stem, which is used as fibre. It's very fibrous, and inside is a very hard core. They chop it up quite fine, reasonably fine, kind of about, half an inch long. And then they mix it with lime and water, and it sets like a limestone. So I guess the easiest description would be if you've ever seen a straw bale foam. It looks similar. It's like when you touch it, it's actually quite hard, although you'll see the little pieces of hemp in there, but it is actually quite hard to the touch.
Is it anything like mud brick?
I guess kind of, but mud brick would be a lot smoother, and you wouldn't have that texture that you create. But it looks quite, the colour of it is beige, and you can often get different colours in the beige and different striations through the walls. I think I've sent you a few photos. It's actually in its own right, it looks really beautiful. So what I'm hoping to do, because I want people to see it, I want people to look at it and see what it looks like, I'm going to leave a wall in every room there as a feature wall, so people can understand, see how it's made and look at it.
It also almost looks a little bit like kind of limestoney in a way, a little bit, like it's got that feel.
Yeah, definitely, because it's got a major component of lime in there. So it's very simple. It is a proprietary lime formulation, but it's lime formulation mixed with water and just the little woody pieces of hemp. So it's very simple. So they're basically, what they do, they need to build a timber frame structure, and then they form up the walls. So they'll have like boards, and they'll sort of a couple of meters high, and then they'll pour the hemp mixture in, tamp it down. But they want to leave a fair air in the middle portion, because that's where you get your, your thermal quality. So it's basically just, holding air in there, and to a degree it can breathe as well, especially if you leave it bare internally, it'll basically breathe. So on the outside, obviously, so we seal the outside.
Yeah, it reminds me, obviously we know that it's been used in textiles for a long time, making, hemp bags and things like this. And there's all the nice conspiracy theories around, being killed by the rope industry and different stories or plastic industry rather, because it makes great rope and things like this, and the bags. But yeah, I'm curious. I'd love to see it one day. It sounds absolutely fantastic, and it sounds like it's not just thermal, but it has a good thermal kind of quality, but it also looks quite aesthetic in a sense. I think it would feel like for those that like the more natural kind of feel, or a little bit back to the organic earth, feel, which we're seeing, a revival of, I think, these days after going so industrial.
Yeah. You go, Charlene.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've got another great passion, and that is interior design. So I guess I build this house as a real showcase for Hempcrete.
Yeah.
But this place is not going to look like your little cabin.
Yeah.
It's going to be building up like a luxury. So I want people to come today and feel it and have an understanding of what it's like to actually live inside a home like this. So I'm hoping that we're going to get lots of people through.
Absolutely.
So you are to come down to WA, come over to WA, I should say, and come down south and have an experience it for yourself, especially
Absolutely.
with a nice glass.
Oh, well, it's only, the location strategically in and around the Margaret River wine regions. I, couldn't think of anything. And actually, it'd make a good building material for some of the CBD bricks and mortar clinics that we're seeing all over the metropolitan cities around Australia. Could have, Hempcrete made clinics.
Yeah, how come no one's done
that? Yeah, well, exactly.
In Margaret River, I'm wondering if you can do hemp wine. I don't even know if that's a thing. Probably not, because it's not enough sugar.
I have had hemp wine. It didn't taste that great.
Yeah, okay.
I can't imagine it would.
But I mean, it's used for lots of other different foods.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely hemp seeds are amazing in different things. And I'm sure you've had hemp infused beer.
I still haven't. Is it good? Okay, I need to try that.
Well, to the brewing process. But a big love of mine.
yeah, totally. Me too. Well, I'll definitely have to try that.
Yeah. Vodka, yes.
Gin as well. I mean, the terpenes in gin lends itself as well.
Exactly. So I guess that is a kind of a segue into something else that I'm doing. I'm quite heavily involved in is hemp food and beverage business. So we to get myself together with another group of people and some investors, we've just retrofitted a brewery in the Swan Valley, which is just outside Perth, basically within 30 minutes of Perth. And we only opened last weekend, but we've got a range of hemp beers, a vodka, a gin, and yeah, we're just having lots of fun with working out what else we can infuse hemp into.
That's awesome. So, oh wow, okay. So yeah,
but not we've got a massive wall which I was very instrumental in making sure we had a great big photo wall of a hemp crop in the right in the middle of this brewery, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think we made one of the first places definitely in Australia to have a massive commercial hemp wall. Maybe in the world, don't know.
Yeah, I've not heard of this before, and it actually sounds incredible. So I think the message I'm getting, Mitch, is that we've got quite a few reasons to do a trip out west. We also, we've got a bit of a few people we'd love to see over there. Maddie Moore, Dr. Brian Walker. There's a few of our favorites in the industry. I imagine as well having
Matty Shales.
Oh, Shalesy.
A shout out to some of that. We've had Paul on the show as well.
Yeah, Paul. Stephen Chalk.
Yes. Yeah. We're doing a lot over here in WA, I tell you. Yeah.
It's really busy. And I'm guessing that, having Sophia and Brian from the Legalize Hemp or Cannabis Party, yeah, it's nice that there's a good amount of political support for lots of different industry initiatives over in WA. I can't say it's necessarily the same here in Victoria or even in some of the other states, but yeah, you guys are leading the way, so we're just going to have to follow suit, I think.
Yeah, I guess we are individuals, but I wouldn't say our government is leading the way, but we're getting there, and it's fantastic having Sophia and Brian just on Parliament floor talking about it, and they're forcing conversations with other politicians, which we love. We're just so proud of them. And this is the way it has to be, from people like himself and people power. This is the only way that we change things. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a lot more politicians like Brian and Sophia out there in the other states of Australia, and we'll be doing our best to support them anyway.
Totally. Well, we love your work. We love everything that's happening over there, and we will continue to keep a very keen eye on all of it, and hope that one day we have cool things like Hempcrete houses in Victoria that we can show you around. But no, thanks so much, Sharlene. It's been awesome chatting and just getting a flavour of all the exciting stuff that you've got on and have been involved with. Definitely one of the more central people in the industry. So we're very grateful to have you on and to share your insights. And speaking on behalf of both Mitch and I, we will definitely be coming over to WA for a Margaret River adventure at some point in the not too distant future.
I'll host you and let me buy you a hemp beer for sure.
I won't decline.
Yeah, not gonna have to twist our arm on that one.
Yeah, no need at all. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sharlene. We'll be in touch, and yeah, until next time, take care.
Thanks so much, guys. Great to talk to you.
Thanks, Sharlene.